High on a dusty shelf in Mr. Thimbleton's cluttered antique shop, between a stuffed owl with one glass eye and a pile of yellowed maps, sat the loneliest clock in the world. It wasn't grand or gilded. Just a simple oak case mantel clock with a faded porcelain face, yet it held a profound secret, whispered only in the deepest silence of the night for decades. It hadn't chimed, its hands frozen stubbornly at 10 minutes past 3. Customers would glance at it, tap its glass gently, and sigh, assuming its heart had stopped forever. Dust settled thickly on its shoulders, a testament to its long stillness, and the quiet shop seemed to absorb its profound silence into the very cobweb-draped corners. Mr. Thimbleton himself, a man as worn and gentle as the objects he cared for, felt a kinship with the silent timepiece. His own life had grown quiet since his wife, Elara, passed the shop, once filled with her laughter and bustling energy, now echoed with emptiness. He often found himself gazing up at the clock, not with the eyes of a merchant, but with the understanding of one solitary soul recognizing another. He depolished nearby trinkets, his old fingers trembling slightly, and murmur, "Stuck, are we? I know the feeling, old friend." The afternoon sunlight, slanting through the grimy window, would illuminate the motes dancing around the clock, making it seem like a forgotten island in a sea of memories. One rain-lashed Tuesday, long after closing, Mr. Thimbleton was meticulously cataloging a box of mismatched buttons near the back. The only sounds were the drumming of rain on the roof and the soft snores of Whiskers, the ancient shop cat. Lost in his task, utterly absorbed, he didn't consciously notice the new sound weaving itself into the rainy symphony. It was a soft, hesitant tick, tick, tick. He paused, holding a mother-of-pearl button mid-air. His breath caught slowly, ever so slowly. He turned his head. The hands on the oak mantel clock were moving. They crept forward with a delicate, almost shy precision. Then, as the unseen hour struck, a single, clear chime resonated through the velvet silence of the shop, pure and sweet, like a forgotten memory given voice. Mr. Thimbleton stood frozen, tears pricking his eyes, not daring to breathe lest he break the impossible spell. He became a quiet guardian of the clock's secret. During the day, when curious browsers wandered the aisles, the clock remained an inert sculpture, frozen at its eternal 10 past 3. But when the last customer left, the lock clicked shut, and Mr. Thimbleton settled into his worn armchair with a book he never truly read. A transformation occurred in the peaceful solitude. Just as he sank into his own thoughts, the faint, familiar tick-tock would begin. Sometimes he'd watch it openly, and it would instantly freeze. He learned to pretend, gazing out the window at the darkening street, or seemingly absorbed in mending a broken music box, while from the corner of his eye, he'd witness the miraculous dance of the hands. It chimed the hours only for the shadows and the dust, a secret rhythm shared between two old companions in the quiet night. News, however, has a way of slipping through cracks like persistent drafts. A young boy, hiding during a game of hide-and-seek after hours, swore he heard the silent clock chime. An elderly lady waiting out a sudden downpour near closing time thought she saw its minute hand twitch. Whispers grew into rumors. Thimbleton's got a haunted clock, a magical one. Soon people weren't just browsing for antiques. They crowded around the shelf, staring intently, holding their breath, demanding, "Work! Show us!" Cameras clicked, fingers pointed. Mr. Thimbleton's gentle pleas for space were drowned out. The clock, besieged by watchful eyes, became utterly still, colder and more lifeless than ever before, retreating deep into its shell of wood and glass under the harsh glare of unwanted attention. One bustling Saturday, a loud, well-dressed man declared he wouldn't leave until the clock performed. He planted himself directly before the shelf, arms crossed, his gaze a physical pressure. The crowd buzzed with anticipation. Mr. Thimbleton's heart hammered against his ribs. "Please, sir," he implored, his voice thin with distress. "It doesn't work like that. It needs quiet." Ignored, he watched in helpless horror. Suddenly, under the man's insistent stare, the clock emitted a terrible sound. Not a chime, but a tortured, grinding crunch from deep within its mechanism. The minute hand gave a final, shuddering jerk and snapped clean off, clattering onto the shelf below. A collective gasp filled the shop, followed by an awkward, crushing silence. The crowd, realizing the profound violation, quickly dispersed, leaving only the shattered clock and a heartbroken old man in the deep stillness that returned after the crowd vanished. Mr. Thimbleton carefully lifted the broken clock down. He cradled it like a wounded bird, carrying it to his small workbench under the soft glow of a green-shaded lamp. He didn't try to fix the snapped hand immediately. Instead, he simply sat with it in the profound quiet of the empty shop. He spoke softly, not expecting a response, apologizing for the intrusion, sharing fragments of memories of Alara, of the shop's better days. Hours passed then. Impossibly, faintly, beneath the brokenness, he heard it again, the softest, most fragile tick, tick, tick. It wasn't keeping time. It was simply breathing, acknowledging his presence in the shared darkness. A single tear traced a path through the dust on his cheek. The snapped hand remains carefully placed beside the clock on Mr. Thimbleton's bedside table, a silent testament. The clock itself still refuses to perform for an audience. But on nights when the world outside sleeps, and the moon paints silver squares on the floor, when Mr. Thimbleton lies awake in the comforting quiet of his own company, a soft, rhythmic whisper often fills the room. Tick-tock, tick-tock. It's the sound of trust regained, a fragile melody woven from solitude and understanding. Two quiet hearts, one of wood and brass, one of flesh and memory, find their perfect, unseen harmony in the gentle darkness, keeping time only for each other and the patient, watching moon. The secret rhythm endures, a tender lullaby in the night.